She's leaning more into her femininity. She's very comfortable dating a pretty masculine man compared to the tortured artists of her dating history. And that's coming through to inspire other young women to do the same thing. I think we're watching Hollywood in general start to heal the same way our culture is.
Well, joining us on the line to discuss all the problems with Gen Z is the author of a book about Gen Z and, of course, a Daily Wire host, Isabel Brown. Her book is The End of the Alphabet, which is all about Generation Z and its vicissitudes. Isabel, thanks so much for joining the show. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me back, Ben. So psyched to be here.
So let's start by asking, what the hell is going on with Gen Z's support for Zohran Mamdani? I have my own theories, but I want to hear yours since you're much closer to that generation than I am at this point.
It's a great question. And honestly, I have to think that the media is pushing a very strong narrative about Gen Z being all in on Mamdani for a reason. Newsweek magazine just ran a headline that apparently he is the key to recapturing all of the young men that Republicans and conservatives made substantial inroads with for the 2024 election. I don't fully buy that, but I do think there is a bit of renewed interest in the left because of Mamdani being radically different from the rest of the left-wing political lineup, especially in New York City. If your other options are Cuomo, who've been in political offices as a family for a very, very long time, or Eric Adams, something new with new ideas is somewhat appealing to young people across the board. Now, those new ideas are terrible and are probably going to burn New York City to the ground, but I think it speaks volumes as to what young people are looking for to shake up the status quo and why Donald Trump was so appealing to them to begin with.
Well, one of the things that's sort of fascinating about Gen Z is, of course, this gigantic sex split between girls and boys, men and women in Gen Z. Men are trending, apparently, according to the polls, more Republican, although they seem to be sort of moving back to the mean, regressing to the mean. Women tend to be moving significantly more to the left and very, very quickly to the left. What's going on with Gen Z women?
You know, interestingly, that is the narrative. And typically when you see these graphs go major viral on X or Instagram or YouTube, I think there is this narrative that young women are overwhelmingly becoming radically more leftist while Gen Z men are becoming extremely conservative. We know that young men are the most conservative generation we've seen in my lifetime. And for the first time, young men under 35 are more conservative than the oldest generation that is currently alive for the last several generations, which I think is really fascinating. But people are forgetting to mention that young women are also shifting substantially to the right, just not quite on pace with what we're seeing with young men. From 2020 to 2024, for example, young women exit polling for women under the age of 35 voting shifted 11 points away from the Democrat Party towards the Republican Party in just one presidential election cycle. And notably, this was during an election where young women were told you are only allowed to vote for the candidate that shares your genitalia and campaigns on the supposed women's right to end the life of your preborn child. So there are substantial inroads that are happening with young women. The media is just refusing to cover that, and it's not happening at the snowball pace quite as quickly as it is with young men.
Now, there is something called choice paralysis. Have you ever been to a restaurant and the menu is like 8 pages long and you know they're not making everything like well? Well, the same thing applies if you're a business owner who's hiring. It can be overwhelming to have so many candidates to sort through, but you are in luck. ZipRecruiter now gives you the power to proactively find and connect with the best ones quickly. How? Through their innovative resume database. And right now, you can try it for free at ziprecruiter.com/dailywire. ZipRecruiter's resume database makes it easy to find the right people for your job openings by letting you filter through candidates quickly to spot the best matches. When you see someone who catches your eye, you can get their contact details right away to reach out. With over 320,000 new resumes being added every month, you'll have plenty of fresh talent to choose from, which means you can fill your positions faster. It's no surprise ZipRecruiter has become the highest-rated hiring site on G2. Here at the Daily Wire, we're always looking for top talent, so we're always using ZipRecruiter. Having those great features that ZipRecruiter offers makes hiring a breeze for any business owner, big or small. Skip the candidate overload. Instead, streamline your hiring with ZipRecruiter. See why 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within day one. Just go to this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire right now. Try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/dailywire. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. Well, Isabel, you follow culture much more closely than I do because, again, I'm old. But when it comes to the culture, the biggest news of the cultural moment is, of course, Taylor Swift has a new announcement about her new album. I did talk about this very briefly on the show. And by briefly, I mean I spent 27 seconds, I believe, on it because that's how important it is to my life. But apparently, it's important to hundreds of millions of people that she has a new album out, something about the story of a showgirl or something. And she announced this on her boyfriend's podcast, Travis Kelce. it is sort of fascinating to watch the evolution of her public image because of Travis Kelce. And I think it does say something kind of vaguely political because, my rip on Taylor Swift has been that she's now, 35 years old, and she's cosplaying as a 16-year-old girl all the time about her failed relationships and about how everyone has wronged her. And meanwhile, she's a billionaire in what appears to be a relatively healthy relationship. And so I've been rooting for them to get married and have kids, actually. I think it'd be very good for America. We can start the Taylor Swift baby boom. But what is the story with her and Travis Kelce? Why is this important? What is her new album going to be?
Despite only dedicating 27 seconds there, Ben, I think you actually have quite an accurate read on the cultural impact of this. I am not a diehard Swiftie that would sell my car for tickets to the Eras Tour like many people were going viral for over the last few years, but I like Taylor Swift. I always have growing up. I think the last truly great album was 1989. I was a senior in high school, and gosh, the vibes of that album are just totally unmatched, which allegedly we're going to get similar pop star music in this new album coming out October 3rd, The Life of a Showgirl. But zooming in on this interview and why this is such an interesting cultural moment right now, Taylor Swift has never appeared publicly on a red carpet with one of her boyfriends. She's certainly never done a long-form interview, podcasting at all, but certainly with one of her significant others throughout history. And she has a totally different energy about her than what I think she's been pretty famous for over the last 10 years or so, being the kind of cutting-edge liberal women leader of whatever we're seeing with this cultural moment. She's done lots of political statements over the past few years on social media and in documentaries, but she had a very different energy that she was putting out during this podcast episode that came out early this week. By the way, is almost at 15 million views in just over 24 hours, on track to be the most viewed single podcast episode ever of all time. She seems happy and content and relaxed and comfortable in her life for the first time that I've ever noticed, certainly throughout her career as a musician. And I think a lot of that has to do with her relationship dynamic with a pretty masculine man, an NFL player who is constantly talking about sports, has this podcast with his brother that they drink beer on and they talk about sports things all the time. And she's admitting, I never knew anything about this world before I started dating Travis, but now my eyes have been opened and I absolutely love it. And now that the Eras Tour is wrapped up, I spend most of my free time baking sourdough bread in the kitchen, and I absolutely love it. It's the best chapter of my life up to this point. I don't know that she's even fully aware of the political connotation of what all of these statements actually mean, that she's leaning more into her femininity. She's very comfortable dating a pretty masculine man compared to the tortured artists of her dating history. And that's coming through to inspire other young women to do the same thing. But just like we're seeing JoJo Siwa all of a sudden leave lesbianism behind, or Demi Lovato get married and reunite with the Jonas Brothers to make great music again, I think we're watching Hollywood in general start to heal the same way our culture is.
Yeah, Isabel, it'll be fascinating to see if she can carry her audience, because this has always been a conundrum for pop stars as they hit their mid-30s, and much of their brand has been built around sexuality and built around being kind of a single wild girl. And you see that many of these women age out. There's something vaguely pathetic about Madonna still twerking on stage at the age of 70. And even now watching the sort of hatred for Katy Perry in the public mind because of the way that she's gallivanting around, which is she's aged out of this role and she continues to play that role. It'll be interesting to see if Taylor Swift moves in what is a more traditionalist direction with her personal life, what the ramifications are for her listenership. Will people come along with her on a journey to, say, getting married and motherhood?
I sure hope so, and I'm certainly rooting for that. At least Katy Perry has a backup career as a professional astronaut now, but I don't think Taylor Swift has those same inroads to be going to space all the time. But look, I think Taylor Swift is easily the most influential person impacting culture for young women. The economic downstream impact that we've seen from the Eras Tour is unlike anything we've ever seen from the music industry, and totally redefined live music as we know it. And I certainly think she can impact the choices that young women are making, realizing, I can have a meaningful relationship. I can commit to someone long term. I can be dating just one person in a culture that's telling me I should be embracing polyamory. And those are good things. They're solid foundations that I can love and appreciate and want to pass on to the next generation as well. So I'm all for Taylor Swift and her sourdough baking, almost trad wife era, being at home with her boyfriend. She seems incredibly happy, and I hope that inspires other young women to do the same thing.
Well, that's Isabel Brown. She, of course, is the host of the Isabel Brown Show, which premieres this fall at the Daily Wire. And you can check out her new book, The End of the Alphabet. And thanks for somehow making a conversation about Taylor Swift palatable to me, considering I did, I believe, a 1 hour and 30-minute review of her last album, The Tortured Poets Department, which was pure torture. You have somehow made this palatable. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thanks for having me, Ben.
Well, that's all for now, folks. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment your thoughts down below. Be sure to check out all of the other great content on my channel. I'll see you here next time.